Nietzsche versus Schopenhauer. Will you reduce, or will you transcend? Pessimism versus overcoming. Two radically different paths in responding to suffering. Today we will explore two philosophers who walked completely different roads. What do you think? Take your time, listen carefully, and reflect. Let me begin by raising a question. At this very moment, recall the most painful experience of your life. A moment of failure, something you lost, something that did not go your way. Standing before that suffering, what choice did you make? Or what choice are you about to make? There are two paths. One says, do not desire. The more you want, the deeper the suffering. Reduce. Let go. Resign. The other says, love your suffering. It is shaping you. Become stronger. Rise higher. Transcend yourself. The voices behind these two paths belong to the philosophers we meet today. Arthur Schopenhauer and Friedrich Nietzsche. Schopenhauer was born in Germany in 1788. He regarded suffering as the essence of life and spent his entire life searching for a way to escape it. His philosophy is cold and lucid. Human desire itself is the problem. Therefore, wisdom lies in reducing desire. Nietzsche was born in 1844, 56 years after Schopenhauer. In his youth, Nietzsche was captivated by Schopenhauer. He called him his teacher and carried his books everywhere. But at a certain point, Nietzsche openly rebelled against his mentor's philosophy. Instead of fleeing suffering, he cried out, embrace it, and through it, leap toward a higher self. Why did they choose such opposite paths? And what do their philosophies mean for us today? Let us begin. A different understanding of human nature. First, we must understand how each saw the world. Though both used the word will, they envisioned entirely different realities. Schopenhauer believed that the essence of the world is will, Wille. But what is this will? It is blind. It has no direction. No ultimate purpose. It is simply the endless impulse to live, to consume, to possess, to be loved. Human beings are slaves to this blind will. We desire something, attain it, feel brief satisfaction, and then desire again. That is how the will operates. For Schopenhauer, the cause of suffering is clear desire. We suffer because we want. If we fail to obtain what we want, we suffer frustration. If we succeed, a new desire arises. This structure itself is suffering. Thus, the solution is equally clear. Reduce desire. Deny the will in stillness, in art, and ultimately in ascetic resignation. Human beings may finally be freed from suffering. His ideal human being is someone who no longer burns with intense longing, someone whose flame of desire has been extinguished. He called this the state of the saint, and he even connected it to Buddhist nirvana. It was a moment when Eastern wisdom entered Western philosophy. But Nietzsche asks a fundamental question. Is that truly life? Is not desiring, resigning, really the answer? Nietzsche also saw will as the essence of the world, but for him, it was the will to power, not merely the drive to survive, but the drive to grow stronger, to expand, to ascend. If Schopenhauer's will is the source of blind suffering, Nietzsche's will is the energy of creation and overcoming. For Nietzsche, suffering does not arise from desire, quite the opposite. The real source of suffering is weakness, the inability to overcome oneself. And from that weakness arises ressentiment, the resentment of the weak toward the strong. Thus, Nietzsche's solution is this: overcome, create, transcend yourself. His ideal human being is the Übermensch, the overman, one who creates his own values, who does not ask permission from established morality, who lives by standards he himself has forged. Now the contrast becomes clear. Schopenhauer says, extinguish the flame. Nietzsche says, make the flame burn brighter. Nietzsche's break from Schopenhauer was not betrayal, it was philosophical independence. He absorbed his teacher's thought deeply, struggled against it, and forged his own philosophy in that struggle. In a sense, Nietzsche overcame his master in the very manner he preached, the attitude toward suffering. Here we arrive at the deepest divide: suffering. For Schopenhauer, suffering is the essence of life, an unavoidable structure. He compared life to a pendulum. If we fail to obtain what we desire, we suffer. If we obtain it, we grow bored. Human life swings eternally between pain and boredom. What then is the escape? First, art. When listening to music or contemplating a painting, we momentarily transcend desire. The ego dissolves into pure contemplation. He considered music the purest expression of the will itself. Second, compassion. Mitleid. The ability to feel another's suffering as one's own. This, he argued, is the foundation of morality. Since we are all manifestations of the same blind will, another's pain is ultimately our own. Third, and most radical, asceticism and resignation, the denial of will itself, no longer desiring, extinguishing the flame of craving entirely. There is undeniable comfort in this philosophy. When exhausted or wounded, the words, "let go," bring relief. Schopenhauer extends a warm hand and says, "It's not that you are weak. Life itself is suffering." But Nietzsche fiercely resists here. Is resignation truly freedom? Is choosing not to desire an affirmation of life or a retreat from it? For Nietzsche, suffering is not the essence of life, it is material. Like stone in the hands of a sculptor, suffering is what shapes us. Only through resistance does form emerge. He calls this amor fati, the love of fate. Not passive acceptance, but a fierce affirmation of everything in one's life, including pain. I do not wish to remove a single thing from my fate, Nietzsche declares. Every wound, every failure, every betrayal was necessary in becoming who I am. And then comes eternal recurrence, ewige Wiederkehr. If this moment were to repeat infinitely, how would you live? It is a terrifying thought. Yet it demands the most radical affirmation of existence. Where Schopenhauer says, reduce it, Nietzsche says, love it. Neither voice can be declared absolutely correct, but each may be necessary at different seasons of life. Application to modern society. We live in an age of burnout, relentless productivity, endless comparison, constant pressure. To those overwhelmed and exhausted, Schopenhauer says, pause. Examine your desires. Are they truly yours? Reducing desire is not defeat, it is wisdom. Minimalism, digital detox, mindfulness, all resonate with his insight. Yet there are others who feel left behind, who struggle with inadequacy in a competitive world. To them, Nietzsche says, your suffering does not prove weakness, it proves that you are still growing. If you fall, rise again. Create your own values. What does not kill me makes me stronger. This is not mere toughness. It is faith in self-transcendence through struggle. Much of modern self-development culture echoes this Nietzschean energy. And importantly, these two philosophies are not mutually exclusive. A person burned out may first need Schopenhauer. Rest, reduction, recovery. But after recovery, Nietzsche's voice may be necessary to build, to create, to surpass. Life has seasons. Wisdom lies in knowing which philosopher to listen to. Conclusion. Schopenhauer says, life is suffering. Desire is its cause. Resign, deny the will, and find peace in stillness. Nietzsche says, life is creation. Suffering is material. Love it, and through it, transcend yourself. Both stood before the same reality, pain. They chose opposite directions. Schopenhauer offers warmth and permission to let go. Nietzsche offers fire and the courage to rise. So now, I ask you, at this moment, facing your suffering, what will you choose? Will you reduce and find quiet, or will you embrace and transcend? The important question is not which is correct. The important question is where you stand right now. Philosophy does not give final answers. It gives deeper questions. Schopenhauer and Nietzsche ultimately ask us, what is life to you? What is suffering to you? And what kind of person will you become in response? With that question, we conclude today's video. Thank you for watching. This has been Life Exploration. Have a joyful and meaningful day.